Ella, we need to talk to you about something serious.
Is it Brendan? He's a townie. He was Nikki's boyfriend, but he kind of disappeared. She told the cops that she didn't know anything, but they don't believe her. That's why she ran away.
Ella, the Newport police have found Brendan's body. His throat was cut.
Ella, I know this is moving very, very fast, but we think Nikki killed Brendan and these two men. Will you help us?
I'm scared. She's gonna hate me.
She's sick, remember?
Hey, Nut.
Do I know you?
Amber, it's me. Elsbells.
Amber. Is that my name?
I'm your roommate. I'm your best friend. Your hair looks awesome. I didn't know it was gonna be that blonde.
Great, Ella.
So, the cops found Brendan by the marsh, right where you guys used to always meet up.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't worry, I told them that you didn't leave the room after dinner. And they found some footprints. They asked me what kind of sneakers you had.
Keep the story going, but tell her you want to go to the restroom.
I told them that you only wear flats. Oh, and check this out. First, can we go to the restroom?
If you can't remember Ella, how do you know she uses a wheelchair?
Hands in the air and back away from that desk.
Pick one. I can't do both.
Did you kill Mike Greco?
He was shot upstairs in the warehouse. Did you see wheelchair access to the second floor?
We saw the video of you arguing with Mr. Greco before he was killed.
I told him he was dead to me if he quit. Why would I kill the best partner I've ever had?
Why would he want to quit?
He was scared. A guy named Paul Mason came to my gallery last month, offering me $50,000 for some of my work.
He wanted to buy counterfeit cash.
He wanted to buy my plates so that he could print his own. Mike got killed protecting my plates. You find my plates and you'll find the guy who killed Mike.
So who does that when Jane's not here? The manager.
Matt's the co-EP, so it mostly falls to him.
So this be a kind of promotion for you. Jane been away.
Can I ask a question? Have you called the landfills? I learned this on my last job. When a kid goes missing, you call the landfills in case they've been thrown away like trash. I could never shake that detail.
We traced the message. It was sent from the writer's room server.
So we need you to turn over your laptops.
Oh, wait.
I can't give you my laptop. I need it to work.
We just need to search your hard drives, recover any deleted materials.
Don't you need warrants for that?
If we have to.
This woman is amazing. She is breathtaking. Has been the star on the Glee project. She's reoccurred on shows like 10 Days in the Valley, guest starred on Lethal Weapon, and she has, as it said in her website, soloed at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., New York's Town Hall, Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, and Carnegie Hall. She is the first actress in a wheelchair to appear on Broadway when she originated, that's easy for me to say, originated the role of Anna in Deaf West's acclaim Spring Awakening. And she is the first wheelchair-using performer to win a Tony Award. Featured actress in a musical, Oklahoma, Ali Stroker. Ali
Thank
Stroker.
Hello, thank you.
Oh my God. Hello, how are you? Thank you for coming. Oh my God, you are like, you're constantly doing stuff.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here, and I'm so excited about this conversation. This time has been so weird and crazy, and so it's so nice to connect with people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say, at Performing Arts Studio West, we, when you won the award, we showed it over and over again. And we have 100 students, and they were, I mean, clapping and crying, and just you lifted everyone up.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a magical moment.
Well, it sure was. And for everyone, for everyone.
Thank you.
We have today a special co-host, a dear friend of both of ours, who is coming on right now, Mr. Tobias Forrest. As I say, Toby Forrest. Either way, he likes them both. Hello, Mr. Forrest.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Hi!
It's time to party.
Yay!
What's up?
How you doing?
Wow, you guys are both beautiful. Amazing. I love your glasses.
Oh, thank you. I went to get my license renewed during the pandemic.
Oh no.
And you have to get your eyes checked. And I've always had 20/20 vision, so I went to the eye exam and I was like, "Oh yeah, I have 20/20 vision, so not to worry." And she like put up, the cards, and you like have to, and I was like, "Oh, I can't see any of that." And she was like, "Oh, okay. And how about this? And how about this?" Anyway, cut to now I have glasses.
Well, good. They look good on you. So
Thank you.
that's very fortunate. And at least you know how to see things that probably you were missing maybe before.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, I know. I was surprised that I even had to go get them checked. It's like something you do as a kid.
Yeah.
How long have the two of you known each other?
A long time. When did we first meet? Did we first meet when I moved to LA in 2010?
Yeah. It was definitely your first year.
Yeah, I think it was like 2010. I moved to LA after I graduated from NYU because I like wanted to do pilot season, and I had just done the ABC Diversity Showcase. And so I I moved out there. And how did we meet though, Toby? I don't remember. Was it when
we I don't know if we met at an audition or if we met maybe at a party or a get together.
or maybe it was like I feel like maybe it was
we did the video. It was before we did the video with Jenny Gold. We definitely did a video with Jenny Gold at Universal Studios with you and Zach and Teal and myself and a couple of other folks. But we were all friends at that point already.
I think it may have been when we were doing some of the like IMPWD like task force stuff, maybe.
Yeah. And so it was either through like Screen Actors Guild, something or other, or Media Access, something or other, or the Abilities Expo.
Oh, maybe. Anyway, it's been a long time.
My question, how does it feel to be groundbreaking?
Yeah, you break the ground.
Groundbreaking. It feels good. That sort of phrase I've heard a lot based on like what I've done sort of in my career, and I can't say that I completely like understand what it is because so much of what I do is just like following my goals and my dreams. While I'm doing it, I'm not aware or thinking about the fact that I'm doing it for the first time. Like it's just something that I want. Therefore, I have been given the tools and the skill set and the confidence and the motivation to go after it, right? And so to be groundbreaking is it's cool, but it's something that I don't think about it's just something that somebody calls me. So it's, you know, I kind of identify with it, but kind of not.
Right.
You just see it as like different levels of sort of the same stage. You know, it's like you've always just wanted to be on stage, and whether that is the small stage that you started on or the big stage that you most recently were on, they're all in a sense similar.
Yeah, and it's like all building blocks, right? So you can't, I mean, in my opinion, you don't make it, you don't just arrive on Broadway without all these building blocks. You don't just arrive on a TV set without all the building blocks that get you there. And what's been cool is that I haven't known exactly the way that the journey was going to go, right? So like I went to NYU and I saw a lot of people get cast in big shows after they graduated, and I watched them and I was like, oh, that's kind of the path. But the thing about this business and this industry is that there is no one way to do it. And I also have been thinking a lot in the past year and a half about what does it mean to make it? What does it mean to have success? And I think that when we are out there and we're like pushing hard and we're in the grind and we're auditioning, we have this idea of what it would mean to make it. And then when you arrive at these goals, it's so exciting, and you my confidence has, you know, felt really full. But now I'm sort of like, okay, now what am I supposed to do with myself and my time? And what else do I want to do? And where else do I want to go? And also, like, what makes me happy now? Like, what is going to fulfill me now?
You must be getting a lot of like different offers and things, right? And different to pull you in different directions, I imagine. How do you then guide that path, or how do you use your instinct, or just go with your gut, or how does that battle work?
Yeah, I feel like my gut usually tells me right away if it's something that I want to do. So when I'm auditioning for something or I'm being offered something, my first response to it tells me a lot. And so if it's the kind of thing, and Toby, you and I have talked about this a lot, but this is something that I kind of would love to share with, you know, whoever is watching. You know, when I am an actress who uses a wheelchair, and when you are offered a role to play a disabled character, sometimes I hesitate based on the way that it's written, because I have a really strong opinion about the narratives that I believe we need in the world. And so if it is a role that is disability specific, I am a little bit more discerning about the script and the way that the role is written, because I do feel a responsibility in my position at this point to put narratives out there that I think are helpful. It's also sometimes a little bit tricky because you wear this hat as an activist and an advocate, but you also just want to be able to wear the actor and the artist hat. And it's important for me to distinguish which one I'm wearing and when, because it can become confusing about whether or not I am making a decision based on just what I want as an actor and based on what I think is important as an advocate and as an activist. So that's sort of another piece of that.
Now, have you always listened to your gut, or were there a few times when you didn't and you said, okay, no more of that, I'm always listening?
Yes, I have not. So when I was first auditioning and first working, my ambition and my desire to just want to work sometimes was like it pointed me, and I was just like, yes, I'll do that, without really looking at like, what am I doing? And because I thought that And I don't know if, well, I think a lot of actors feel this way, that sometimes in the beginning you feel like you just have to say yes. Like you just have to get the momentum going.
So hungry, you'll take whatever food they throw at you.
Yeah, but I'm not like super regretful about anything that I've done, but there's been a few moments that I was on sets and I was like, what am I doing here again? Why am I doing this? And that feeling of like, here's another like red flag for me. If I've done something and then I don't want to share it and I like wish it had gone away, or I wish like it like wasn't out there, that's when I sort of remember like, oh, I did have that gut feeling when I first said yes to this, and I said yes because of maybe someone who I knew had asked me to do it and I kind of didn't feel like I could say no. I like am always working on boundaries. It's like not my strong suit. So that's another kind of, I definitely have been in positions where I'm not positive if I listened to my gut, and then I always know later like, oh, I should have said no. But it's not, but now at this point in my life and in my career, I am very specific, and I try to be I really try to listen to what my intuition and my gut says.
You get that laser focus as a person, as an actor.
How do I get my laser focus? I think I've always felt like who I am and my chair is sort of this amazing filter because I'm really specific and I'm not for everyone. And I think I come off as like, what's that?
You're not for everyone, then you're fooling everyone.
Well, that's the thing, and I'm starting to learn this about myself as I get older. Like, for so much of my life, and Toby, I'm curious if you felt this way. I have felt like I needed to prove myself. Therefore, I have been a people pleaser, and I have wanted to make sure everyone else is happy.
Oh, yeah.
And, I've been able to like think about this and articulate this a little bit better in this past year because like thank goodness things like I just like could pause after what felt like 10 years of being on like the fastest, hardest treadmill. and what I have realized is that I've always felt very clear about what I like and what I don't like. Right. But I haven't always like listened to myself. And part of that, and what I said earlier about like needing to prove myself.
And a self-sacrifice, I'm sure.
Totally. And feeling like I owe people because of the amount of support and love and investment that people have made in me.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that in the sense of, almost in the sense of I've received so much sort of help in my life. And one of the things that got me into acting was that I did improv, and it was a troupe that would carry me in my wheelchair up 2 flights of stairs twice a week just to perform. Right. And I'm sure you can relate. There's been stages that you've had to be lifted on and all of the above. And you've had help along the way, and people believe in you along the way and support along the way. And so you feel like, well, I have to ease the burden somehow. I have to pay it back somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also in looking at the way that the disabled community has been like perceived and the way that people treat people with disabilities out in the world, I got pretty strong feedback that I was gonna have to do whatever I couldn't be picky. I had to take what I could get. And growing up, like, after their dreams, or like dating, or like having a career, or like having a family. And so I just constantly was like, I've got to figure this out on my own, and I have to make like strong connections and relationships so that people will trust me, because that was a big part of it, that like, because I didn't see any other women in wheelchairs in specifically theater, I was like, nobody's going to trust me. So I have to make relationships, and I have to, again, prove myself. And so I wouldn't change anything. Like, I think that I did make really wonderful connections and relationships. And as I said at the beginning, like, it was all building blocks, and one thing led to the next. But I now, I'm going to be 34 in June, and like I feel like a grown up. Yay! I feel like a grown up, and I feel like I finally like trust myself and have the self-worth to feel like, okay, Allie, now you get to shape this the way that you want. And I said this earlier, but like that's scary too, because I'm like, oh, now I have to make the decisions. It's not like just like yes and yes and yes and.
Right.
But I think it's exciting, and I'm excited to be at this sort of new season in my life.
I have a question, I guess, which is in a way just being having a disability is you face discrimination just from buildings, you know. Buildings are like, nope, you can't come in. And so to face that for a long time, and now almost to be on a world stage, right, and representing people with disabilities with authenticity, there comes um, a lot of judgment, right, and critique, and especially now doing shows and getting critics and things like that and press. How is that and navigating that world? Because I'm sure you get it from all ends of people that praise you, and then some people who might think, oh, well, you just getting this because you fit the bill or whatever. I don't know what the excuses are.
Yeah. I mean, so this was sort of a decision that I made kind of early on, that I really don't dig around to read reviews or opinions. Like, I'm very specific about what I put out there. I do not share all parts of my life. Um, because we do live in a world where everyone gets to be Simon Cowell, and everyone gets to have an opinion or a judgment about you. And when you are a performer, you're under a microscope, and so people can critique not just your work, but you as a person. And I just have been at times I feel like, oh, have I held myself back by not putting more of myself out there in more of like an edgier way, or more in like a in a in a just a more intense way. Like, I see some of my other friends who are just way, like, they're on social media much more and sharing more, and they get more people following them, but that comes at a cost, in my opinion. And something that I learned after I won the Tony was that somebody in a wheelchair cannot like take privacy when they want, because their disability is so visible that again, the boundaries are weird. Like, people would come up to me at any moment and congratulate me, which was so kind and like so amazing. But there were moments when I was like, I was living in New York City, and so like I couldn't really get like a minute for myself, and I so badly needed it. I like needed to refill my bucket, and I just was not being given the time, and I felt a real responsibility to be this public person all the time. And so I just, like, moving forward with everything that I choose to do and say and put out into the world, I think about, like, what is this going to, like, how is this going to affect the bigger picture? And I've worked with people who, like, don't have privacy and, like, cannot go out, and I don't wish that upon anyone. And you think, like, people, young people in the business, or anyone maybe, like, thinks like, oh, like, it would be so cool to be famous, and it'd be so cool to, like, have people wanting my autograph and wanting my attention and wanting selfies and wanting, and the paparazzi following me. And I don't wish that upon my greatest enemy. Like, to not have your own privacy and to not be able to, like, be with your family or your partner or or whoever, or not be able to go get a cup of coffee. Like, my independence I never take for granted, because I worked so hard for it, growing up, like, in physical therapy, because being paralyzed and being in a chair, like, it's, your independence is not just a given. So, like, that weighs into, like, how I choose to shape my career, because I always want to be able to have some kind of independence and freedom and privacy.
Uh, it's powerful. How do you take care of yourself? Beside that, do you do meditation? What do you do to take care of yourself?
Well, I, again, like, another, this past year during the pandemic has been so challenging, but it's also given me so many moments to kind of, like, think about these things that have been, like, sort of, like, you know, bothering me for the past few years, that I haven't really been able to take care of because I've been really busy and I've just put all my attention on work. So one of the things was, I didn't really have, like, a physical routine or practice, and I have a lot of energy. And again, Toby, I wonder if this is something that you can relate to, but when you live in a body that is paralyzed, you have a specific experience with feeling stuck physically and needing to get energy out and needing to move your body. But this is more complicated than going to the gym, because for somebody in a chair, you go to the gym and 70% of everything, or 90% of everything at the gym, is not accessible. So, or, like, or is not something that you can do or want to do. So I was really determined to find something that I could do that would allow me to get some of my energy out. And so I started this thing last spring where I was going to push a marathon in 2 weeks, which meant that I had to push about 2 miles a day. And I was living on Cape Cod with my fiance, and we were like, quarantining because New York City was just in a really bad place. And so I started to do this every morning, and I started to get into, like, I texted some friends, like, do you have any podcasts that are really great? And I started to move, and I started to, like, physically, like, push. And it began to sort of change my entire day, because I felt so good when I got home, and I was sleeping better, and my anxiety and my frustration, like, all of that felt, like, manageable. And so now I try to do 5 to 6 days a week of either going out for a push, or I found a trainer who's in a wheelchair who I train with over Zoom. And I just have to move my body almost every day. Like, I try to give myself break days, but I have to be moving, and the other part of it that's really important for me is that I have to be doing the moving. So, like, like, I did PT for like 10, 15 years, but somebody else was moving my body. And that kind of built up other kinds of frustration because it was like, I want to be doing this. So, so anyway, this physical practice. And then I've been trying to read every day, which is sort of my version of meditation. And it's like this really calming activity for me that allows me to also activate my imagination, which I have always had a really, really bright and really, I think, strong imagination. But I have felt like over the past 10 years, these screens have kind of like dampened that, like it's like made my imagination like duller. And so reading like all kinds of books has like really activated my imagination. What'd you say?
Sharpening that tool, huh?
Yeah, and I just I also love the idea that it's just one activity.
Yeah.
Like so much on our phone is like double, triple, quadruple tasking. And that's like so much of like what our world asks us to do now. Like even when we're driving, we're also listening, or we're looking at the screen for the directions, or when we're out even exercising, we're also listening to something. But reading is like this one single task activity, and it's really good for my spirit and for my mind and my imagination.
The things I got into was boxing, right? Because I have like a bag, and I love that it's 3 minutes on and 1 minute off. So it's like 3 minutes of cardio, and then you have 1 minute to rest, and then you go back to it, and you can like just count out the rounds, and you do 5, 6 rounds, and you're at least
I love that.
yeah. And then another thing that I really got into, I just kind of decided on my own one day, I would take 100 breaths to myself. And as long as I get one of them that is like I can just appreciate that moment and remember it and be like, oh, the sun is perfect on my face and these birds around me and like the breath filling me and just like connected, like really connected with the earth and nature and everything around me, then that also will kind of like put me at a center. And I'm like, okay, at least I got one breath that was like out of 100 that worked.
Do you count them, Toby?
Yeah, I will try to count them and then I'll lose count.
And this is like deep breaths?
Pretty much. It's just natural breaths. Not anything like over exaggerated. Just something where you'll remember that. Because I was 2 months on a respirator, 2-3 months on a respirator, and memories like that serve me. And I was thinking about it with COVID and all this stuff last year, and I was like, man, I don't want that. So let me at least have a good solid moment that I can refer back to. And I don't do it every day, but definitely a couple days out of the week, and it helps.
I love that. That's a great idea.
I love listening to both of you say this because I need to get on my bike for my heart. And especially after 7 years ago when I had the heart attack. So I have to do that. And I'm doing it 3 days a week now, but it's like, okay, every day I have to, because it does clear the mind. It's very healing.
Yeah.
Yes.